20 minutes of dogs, we usually have them knowing the command and doing it for us. The other 40 to 50 minutes of the appointment is just getting you in sync and learning how do you actually do that.
Hey y'all, this is Layla and we are with Buddy's Besties. And today is a special day because I have two guests, not one. So I'm here with Trey from Dog Training Elite. And who do you have with you?
This is Trinity.
Trinity?
Yes, ma'am. She is a 2.5-year-old Belgian Malinois. Yeah.
Wow, she is beautiful.
Thank you.
And she's super trained and super cute.
She's pretty decent. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you got her? And you mentioned earlier she's trained in multiple things, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Yeah. So she's a service dog, and then because we do protection training,
Yep.
I've done a little bit of protection work with her as well.
That's great.
So she does kind of both of those for me. And then kind of her story, I got her as a puppy.
Yeah.
And then the breeder that I got her from, she had a little issue with her mom.
Okay.
So if you see, she's missing a chunk out of her tongue there. Mom was not a fan of her too much.
Aw.
So she went through a little bit there, but now
we're
she's here
fans.
doing awesome. Absolutely.
That's right. We're big fans of Trinity. So today we're going to talk all about training your dog at home. And I know this is a huge request we get from a lot of our viewers. They really want to understand what they can do at home and when they should actually go to a service like yours and what kind of things you guys would provide. So tell me a little bit about, if you've just got a puppy at home, what are some of the things that you should be teaching them right out of the gate?
Yeah, so some of the things, obviously your basic obedience stuff just to make life easier.
Yep.
So sit down. I like a command called place. It's get on an item and stay there.
Okay.
So that way you start having a little bit more control of the dog interacting with things while you're trying to clean, chasing you, anything
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
And then puppy stuff, right? So
Yep.
potty training, puppy biting, chewing on things. There's multiple things you can do at home. A lot of resources online that you have. And then obviously videos and stuff like that.
Sure.
I personally recommend, if you're not used to training a dog, start with a training company at 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
Absolutely. The earlier, the better. You have less time to kind of get into a routine and start the dog testing boundaries and seeing what
Sure.
it's allowed to get away with.
For potty training specifically, what's the number one thing somebody can do when they bring a puppy home and they're not potty trained?
So the first thing that I tell my clients is going to be watching food restrictions, kind of not just leaving the bowl out, letting them eat whenever they want.
Okay.
And I do the same thing with water a little bit. And the reason why is if you don't know when they have to go to the bathroom, you don't know when to watch them.
Okay.
So you're having a little bit of issues running through there. I also really like to...
She smells my kitties.
I know, right? She thinks it's a lot of fun. So a lot of times people let their dog out in the backyard to run around.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer you take them out on a leash, even though it's your backyard. Reason being, it's fun outside.
Yes.
So when they're running around, smelling stuff, having fun, playing in the grass, they're not focusing on what they need to do. So then when you take them inside, they immediately go, oh yeah, I had to go to the bathroom.
I needed to pee.
And
Okay.
there's your accident.
Got it.
Absolutely.
Got it. So you said 8 weeks is when people should reach out to you and get them trained, but you're saying as early as possible.
As early as possible, absolutely. I understand wanting to spend some time with your dog. So
Yep.
there's some different training options that you have with different companies and stuff. But yeah, as soon as you can.
What are some of so I'm guilty of this with my cats. I love the treats. I like to give them treats whenever they ask for treats, which means they're asking for treats all the time.
Absolutely.
But what are some of the things common mistakes that people could make when they're training their animals that kind of get them off the path?
A lot of times it's the follow through, right? If I ask for certain things to be done, sit down, any of those, and I don't follow through with it, what I'm doing is I'm teaching the dog that it's more of a request. You don't have to do it. So now maybe I'll sit, maybe I won't, depending on what's going on.
Okay.
Puppy training is a lot of treats. I love treats for puppies. It's great, but also learning when to take them away, right? We can have a lot of fun, give a lot of treats, but also I want to be fun. So a lot of praise from you. Remove some treats every now and then. Make sure that they're not relying on that. So like your cats, they're not just begging for treats 24/7.
Well, I'm going to tell my husband you said treats are good and treats are fun. So that's
You take it how you want. My clients do the same thing. So
let's talk a little bit about collars. So when you get a new puppy at
Yeah.
home, or you've got a dog that let's say you've gotten one from a rescue and they're a year or two old and they're new to you, and you're trying to get them to learn your commands. Can we talk about the different kinds of collars? Because I know there's, the e-collar, there's a regular collar, there's the prong collars. What kind of collars do you think?
yeah, so you've got a ton of options. It's really depending on if we're talking just a collar for your dog to hang its tags from or put its leash on, or if we're talking into training collars at that point. So I think every dog should really have a regular flat collar. Don't focus on her. She doesn't have one today. But for their tags, yes, I know it's fun. To hang their dog tags from, a really new thing now is starting to put like the Apple Air tags on their dog so
Yeah,
they can
cats too.
focus on that. Okay.
Yep.
I'm not in the cat world, so I wouldn't know.
It's a wonderful world. You
I
should
believe
come
it.
over.
I believe it. I don't think she would be a huge fan. So I think a flat collar is necessary. I like to walk dogs on flat collars more than I like harnesses.
Hi.
You just have to say hi, huh?
Hi.
Hey, come here. Tuck. Tuck. Thank you.
What's
Down.
that command you just gave her?
So tuck is one that we teach our service dogs.
Okay.
So it's to come underneath my legs, underneath a chair or a table. So that way, when we're out in the real world, our dog is put together. People
it.
walking by aren't stepping on them and stuff.
Got it.
So yeah, I like flat collars a little bit more than I like your harnesses, just solely because I have a little bit more control with that flat collar versus that harness.
Okay.
Getting into training collars, it really depends on, one, what the person's comfortable with, but two, what your trainer's comfortable with teaching you, right? So you have the prong collars, which are the real medieval looking things. They're really not that bad.
Okay.
Down. Thank you. So those have their purpose. They're great tools. They just look really scary and they have a bad stigma. Also, your e-collars. Trinity is a perfect example. She has an e-collar on. I personally like to train dogs a little bit more with e-collars, solely for the fact that I can make it not always a negative, right? So even a flat collar and a leash, if that dog's pulling or doing something and I tug on it, I told them, no, you did something wrong. An e-collar, I can transition it into just me talking. And now it's not always that punishment based. It's more of just conversation. So really it depends on what people are comfortable with and
Okay.
the trainer that they have.
So I noticed when you came in with her, you didn't have her on a leash,
No,
but she was perfectly in step with you. And when we came in and there was a million people here, she still stayed very close to you and listened to everything that you were saying
absolutely.
without a leash.
Without a leash. You
That's amazing.
Don't need one. Now, if we're going to do off leash work, I have every client, they have to learn with e-collar. Solely for the fact that when I'm off leash, I have no other way to communicate with that dog.
Okay.
So if they decide that rabbit looks fun and to bolt off, I still have a way to reach them,
Right.
not just verbal.
Wow.
So that's why she wears hers still, is because I am off leash.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm that
no,
person.
no, I think, I
Um,
mean, she
She
was great.
deserves the freedom to me. So yeah, once we have a good obedience step and we have that heel command, which is where she walked next to me the
Yep.
whole time, that's where you can start now removing the leash and still having the same obedience put in.
I think you said this, but how long have you had her?
So I've had her, she is 2.5. So I've had her since 8 weeks old.
Okay. And how long did it take you to get her here?
We still train every day.
So
right?
you train
Just
every
life.
day still.
Life is training. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to go out and actually train with her, but just asking for commands every day. Come to me when I ask you to. Sit down. If I'm following through with that, it's all training.
So if I'm at home
Yeah.
and I have a new puppy, how long is it going to take me to teach them potty training, sit, stand, come, all those
it's
things?
very dependent.
Okay.
One, it depends on the dog,
Mhm.
right? Trinity's a Belgian Malinois. They learn really quickly. They push boundaries a lot, but they learn very fast. Some other dogs may be a little bit slower at learning depending on development. Also, you. how consistent are you going to be? She was off leash at 4 months old.
Wow.
I don't recommend that for most people, but the dog can do it. It's just how much work are we going to stay with and actually put into it. Potty training, I've seen some dogs pick it up in a week. I've seen some dogs take 4 weeks because we just weren't really consistent with managing the whole expectation. So,
Do you find that to be the more challenging? Is it more the owners or the pets that you have the harder time cracking
owners,
the code?
every
The
time.
owners.
Yeah. It's really hard for us to realize dogs need something to do. Our perfect life is do nothing. Go inside, get all the food, all the love you could ever want, and be happy. Dogs don't handle that well. If I put her inside to do nothing, she would lose her mind and she would act crazy.
Okay.
So we have a hard time doing that, wanting our dogs to do that. So that's where the people are a little bit more challenging is why do I need you to sit right this second?
Right.
Because you asked for it. It's the only reason. You don't have to keep them there, but follow through with your commands. So we do a lot more in-home training than I do anything else. 20 minutes of dogs, we usually have them knowing the command and doing it for us. The other 40 to 50 minutes of the appointment is just getting you in sync and learning how do you actually do that.
So let's talk a little bit about that because I used to have dogs before I became a cat person. I had lots and lots of dogs, and I would take them to the training, and we would do that, and then we would come home. So you're saying there's lots of different ways now you can train?
Absolutely. Board and trains are still very popular, where you send the dog off for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever the case may
I could
be.
never do that. It's like boarding school. No.
It's hard for me to imagine. I'm not going to give my dog up for that long. Some people are at the end of their patience with their dog, so I do understand it. Hey, send them off, get a magical dog back.
Okay.
I'm not a huge fan of that in all cases. It does have its role, but I like the owner to be more involved. It's your dog. You need to learn how to do this. We do predominantly in-home training. So that way we actually come out to our clients once a week, work with them and the dog, give them homework for the rest of the week, and then we come back out and sort of, hey, what do we need to fix? And let's continue with the training. Other places will do like a boot camp style. So you bring the dog for the day.
Sure.
You work them. Where are you going? Hey. Hi. Tuck. Oh, thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
She wants some
we're a
loving.
little anxious. Gotcha.
Hi.
Thank you. Awesome.
Hi. Hello.
Okay, fair enough. So some do a boot camp style where you're going to send the dog for the day. They're going to work the dog all day. You'll come pick them up, and then they're going to go over with you each time. This is what we did. Let's practice it, and let's continue that way. So it really depends on what works your budget, T. Off.
Will she tuck for me?
I
Only
doubt
for
it.
you. Okay.
Hey.
Hi.
So since she's a service dog, I kind of have let her ignore other people,
Got it.
and she really just focuses on me.
When you see a service animal out and about,
Yeah.
can you pet
here.
so I've always heard like, oh, don't pet service animals or don't engage or do
Down.
engage. And I think it's a good idea to always ask when it's someone else's pet, can I pet your dog?
Yeah.
But is there something to the not interacting with a service animal?
So there's a few pieces. One, the disability. We don't know what it is, right? So looking at somebody, you may think that there's not much there. They may have really bad social anxiety. PTSD. Some of my clients don't like confrontation with people at all. So if you walk up to them and talk to them, they completely shut down. They don't know how to tell you no. They don't know how to talk to you.
Yeah.
They're out of kind of their sync.
Got it.
So a lot of that is the disability with the person, not really that interaction. Some of it is I don't want to distract the dog, right? If they're really focusing on working, I need that dog to really be focused there. Some part of it is also just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm just in a hurry. I want to go in and out of a
Mhm.
store, and I don't
Yeah.
want to get stopped 10 times down. Thank you. Down. I know. It's
Oh,
a
she
little
wants
rough
to
right
give
now.
kisses.
Hey, down. Good girl. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, I just don't want to be bothered that moment. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's just let me go by. The service dog world, I think we preach it a little bit to an extreme.
Sure.
solely so more people will hopefully get the idea. And it has worked. More and more people are starting to ask now.
Yeah.
I ask with any dog. I'm not going to walk
Absolutely.
up. I think, yes, ask. It's not your dog. I don't know you. So,
Sometimes even when it's a dog, sometimes people do. I'll tell you a story when maybe I should just tell it now. I was with a friend of mine who has a dog, and he's lovely, and we were in a very busy setting, and he looked very nervous, and so
Yeah,
I reached down to kind of give him a hug, and it was not the right, and I got a little snap, and so I've got me a little reminder
nice.
not to stick your face in a dog's face.
Thing from a child. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I was an adult. I knew better.
Fair enough.
But that's why I always ask the question of, is it more the people or is it the pets? Because that was totally a me thing.
Yeah.
That was not something that.
And depending on the situation,
Yeah.
You don't know the dog, right? So you don't know how they're going to act in that exact moment.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it's.
So if we're talking back to just training basics,
Please.
what's the first thing you would train if you were getting a new puppy? What's the first thing you'd want to make sure they knew?
So outside of our potty training,
Mhm.
my main go-to command for every dog at first is recall. Come to me when I ask you to.
Okay.
I can get my dog out of trouble really quickly if I have a really strong recall. I can also prevent other stuff from happening. So that's my first main one is how do I get the dog to me when I want them?
And if I'm at home, what's the best way to do that?
Make yourself funner than the environment.
Okay.
Right? So start inside. I like to have a leash at first because I don't want the dog to go off and do their own thing. And I'm going to ask for that recall. And, the main thing would be treats.
Treats.
I like to also add in me, that excitement. Maybe I backpedal, start moving, have a fun time, and that dog wants to come to me now. So once you start that in a really controlled environment, now you slowly increase your leash and you increase distraction. Now we may do it in the backyard. Why should the dog stop smelling the grass and go to you when you ask it to? Because you're a lot of fun. You're way funner than the boring grass.
Right.
And that's how we get that.
And what happens when you take the treats away? So let's just say, you don't have any treats with you today.
Yeah.
And she's still doing everything that you say.
Hey,
so do you eventually dial it back, or do you replace it with something else, or?
So I replace it with praise.
Okay.
So you'll hear a lot of yes, good, way to go. I don't really care what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just want you to acknowledge to the dog, hey, that's what I wanted you to do. Way to go. Keep doing it. I'll spoil you somewhere for the rest of the day.
Okay.
So that's what we're really looking for on that once we start removing the treats. Down.
And what happens if I'm at home and I have a dog that I've had for a long time?
Yeah.
And I bring another dog in. What are some tips for folks that are introducing new babies into the new dogs into the mix?
For me, the introduction is the big piece. If it's a puppy, I actually don't let my puppies interact with my older dogs.
Okay.
I keep them separated. She doesn't want you right now. I'm sorry. Thank
I
you.
always want you to.
Yeah, we just can't tell her that one. So for me, I like to get a playpen.
Okay.
And I'll have the puppy in the playpen. And now my dogs are allowed to come around, but they don't ever get that face-to-face contact. So they're starting to kind of see what's going on. My puppy's starting to see what's going on, right? So.
And how long does that period last?
It really depends. So my dogs usually at about 4 to 4.5 months is when I'll start actually introducing them. A lot of people come here. Thank you. A lot of people don't have the time, right? Maybe I have an older dog and I just got this puppy or I got another older dog. My introduction's outside. I grab leashes and we start walking.
Okay.
And if I have somebody else there with me, they have one dog, I have one dog, and we're just going to go for a walk. And as we're walking, we're going to slowly migrate those dogs together so they can kind of start getting to know each other, but we're also distracted. So it's not that constant just, oh, you are what I need to focus on right now.
Right.
It's the world.
So here's a question for you. Are there dog breeds that are easier to train than others?
There are and there aren't.
Okay.
Every dog can be trained. Small dogs are what I notice we have more of a problem with, and it's not really us, it's the people. They're very simple to maneuver, right? If my dog's barking at somebody, I pick it up and I can go run off.
Okay.
we're teaching that dog, I'm going to save you every single time. So when you want to bark, do that. Working dogs, Malinois, Rottweilers, Dobermans, Shepherds, all those are always going to be a little bit easier to teach stuff usually because they just pick it up really simple. They want to do this stuff. However, you also have to combat the crazy drive that they have, right? Why do I want to do this now that I know it?
Got it.
So
So interesting.
it's a really weird world. Yeah.
What about other animals? Cats?
It's a lot of breed choices,
Okay.
right? So like she's very prey drive. If you can't tell, she's darting her eyes around like she's looking for moving stuff.
Yeah.
So if I have her come into a house with a cat that she's never seen before in her life and she has no idea what a cat is,
Yeah.
we're going to struggle a little bit. She's
Yeah.
going to think it's a toy or something and want to interact with it way more.
Okay.
So for me, that's where really training immediately comes into play. How do I start having control of that dog so I can recall them from the cat, right? Hey, it's not a toy. Come here. Place. Get on this dog bed. Hang out there. Don't move, right? And
Yeah.
start. It's a lot of socialization, right? Which a lot of people think is meet everything and play with everything.
Yeah.
It's not.
Okay.
It's introduction to stuff. There can be people in this world and you don't get to interact with every single one of them. They're not fun unless I say they're fun. Dogs. I like to go to dog parks. I don't like the inside of dog parks, but I'll stand out on the outside and I will do obedience with my dog while all these other dogs are going crazy. They're not fun. They get to do what they want.
Right.
I'm fun. Let's train. That's how I get her in a room full of people that she doesn't care.
Yeah.
She's like, yep, nope, we're good. We can just hang out and do that. Same thing with dogs. I can walk right by them. It's like me and you walking across the street. If I don't know you, I'm not really excited to see you.
Yeah.
We may be polite. Hey, how's it going? And keep going. And that's where I want that dog. So having them as a puppy, bringing them out around everything. She was at farms when she was 9 weeks old, walking by cows, horses, donkeys, cats, everything. And we just learned they're not that fun. Like they're not intriguing.
I don't know if they're going to agree with you. I think they think they're really
Oh,
fun.
they are very fun. I just don't let her know that until
That's right.
until we get to that point.
That's right. Is there one thing you would tell our viewers? It's been so interesting talking to you. Is there anything you would tell them is like the most important thing when you get a new puppy is fill in the blank?
It's a loaded question.
I know.
There's a lot. If I had to pick one thing out of all of it, it would be have the conversation of getting a trainer or
Yeah.
doing some training. I don't care if it's PetSmart, online courses, something.
Yeah.
And get control so your life's a little bit easier, not as hectic.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Of
Trey.
course,
It's been
absolutely.
so fun
Yeah,
having you
absolutely.
here. Trinity, you've been a pleasure, Dollface.
Now you're
We're going to have you
more.
back because we're going to talk about some more things.
I would
this
love
is
that.
great. This is so great. Thanks so much, you guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you found this helpful. And remember, adopt, don't shop.